Peace, peace, peace. So we finishing up. Well, probably won't be finished up in one day, but we going back through that degree where we was looking at the mathematics. We take the math and look at the alphabets. We take the math and the alphabets. We look at 120, and then from 120 we go right into any of the other books. So we start off with the first degree in 1 to 40, which is to say the Holy Quran and the Bible, right? Who made the Holy Quran and who made the Holy Bible? So, I mean, we could dispute when they start talking about holy, because then they say holy is anything that hasn't been diluted, mixed, or tampered in any form. Not because I put it together in this, that, and the third, and tampered with in what? Any form. So, if you think about that, then that means as soon as they went from taking it from the Ethiopian 88 books and moving it down to 66, see, mixed, diluted, and tampered with. All right, now let's get back to the other point, right? So, if we was going to look at from a Christian perspective, like, and they had some form of knowledge of self, because they're going to need some form of knowledge of self to enable themselves to see what you see, right? So say we're at the rudimentary level of seeing. Like, we just got this, so we might not see the whole picture. But the part that you would see is immediately you would say, brass that had been burnt in an oven and lamb's wool here would make you say, well, that doesn't sound like the colonizer's children or the colonizer's depiction of, right? And then you would look at your lessons and you would say, but his name isn't Jesus, it's Yahshua. So that would change. That's so you talking to. So if Yahshua was walking down the street and you keep hollering Jesus, that's like if somebody calls you a name. Well, they not gonna call. If they saying, "Hey Bob," and your name is Bourne, you're not gonna look because they're talking to Bob. Feel me? So from that perspective too, when you looking at it. But then let's go to the next level, where the Christians will say, Jesus. Okay, so we'll leave it regular. You don't even know that it's Yahshua, right? Yahushua. You don't know. So you're going, Jesus, lamb's wool, feet like brass been burnt in the oven. And then you're saying Son, Ghost, Father, right? And so, depending, most Christians see Jesus as God. I know the Catholics do. Maybe the Protestants see him as the Son of God. But theology, when they're talking metaphysically, they'll be saying he's older than Abraham, right? Some say, no, he's Adam. This, that, They could go through a lot of different debating, especially when you get into the Protestant side of it. Because by then, they get to make up their own understanding. They don't have to use concordance and dictionary and metaphysical dictionary to mathematically show and prove their science from that perspective. They don't do that. They just say how they feel, and then even when they saying that the Lord told them to talk in tongues, I'm gonna just leave that right there, right? So that's really what. Come on, man, y'all are killing me. But anyway, from that perspective, I'm saying when that's what 120 does to your brain, it make you do all those questions. But one of the main questions it makes you say is, so who's the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, maker on the cream planet Earth, Father, God of the universe, right? Father, civilization, God of the universe. So, based on that mathematical equation, then how could the colonizer fit in there? Then that would make you, once you started doing more research, it would make you question, why are you and the colonizer praying to the same God? That doesn't make sense. If you reject slavery, you're supposed to reject his God too. Now that is the actual fact that Ku Klux Klan and Protestants, Anglo-Saxons, they all down with the same God. The one they gave to you. See, that's what 120 does. Makes you look at that, right? All right, now let's take it to the next level and say, well, if 120 is telling you dietary law and pointing you towards knowledge, how did he get to knowledge? Because when you said peace and you finished 120 and you got your wages, which was your 12 jewels, the 11th one was knowledge, right? And what was the manifestation of that? It was power, equality, LRC equality. Once you went there, you knew what it was. You said, I received my wages because I already know the infallible name. You get it, right? When you get your lessons, you go through the exact same mathematical equations that all the ancients taught. They might have whitewashed it, the colonizer, when he put it in masonry. But after they hit their 7th degree, they get the infallible name. You get it too, 7, right? You just open up with the 1st degree in student enrollment. By the time you get student enrollment, you should have already had 9 reasons why Allah is God. Well, you should have had I, yourself, self-reality, Son of Man, God. Then you would have had 9 reasons why Allah is God. Then you would have got your math. Then you would have got your alphabet. Then you'd have got the 1 to 10, 1 to 36, 1 to 14, 1 to 40, actual facts, solar facts. And then you got your 12 Jews, right? Now, once you got your 12 Jews, you start doing the knowledge to your plus degrees, like the problem book and this, that. Those problem plus degrees are the ones that are plus 2, 120. There's degrees that's to that came from Elijah, like student enrollment came from. Feel me? Like that, from that perspective. There's your plus degrees. Now, you also have plus degrees that attach itself to mathematics and alphabets through the 9 born. See what I'm saying? Even if it's the universal flag, it's still attaching itself to that mathematics and that alphabet. That you can take to the bank. See how it keeps evolving. So you say, oh, in the 1st degree and the 1 to 10, we didn't even leave that degree. This is what I'm trying to say. We could jump around and go to the 1st degree in the 1 to 40 because that led you to Quran and Bible, but you probably already understood Bible to a certain degree if you was an Asiatic in the wilderness of North America, right? If you was the 1st degree in the 1 to 10 as the original man, lamb's wool, like you the original people, you have lamb's wool. If you have lamb's wool here, you are the original people or descendant of the original people, right? That's how it works. And then everything else comes after. Like you were on the planet long time. I mean, you was in the Americas alone at least 50,000 years before these clowns came along, right? Pyramids is Gemini. They start around Gemini. We're all the way in Pisces, the cusp of Aquarian, Piscean mathematics. I think it take about 120 years for that cusp to be completed. And we'll be fully in the Aquarian. All right. So if we go back and say, we might already be, because you talking, give or take, around 1913 to 19. So we 75 on that part, right? That was 75 when we was mathematical, 85, then it hit 80s, 90s, 2000s. We just hit 120, like 5 years after, give or take, plus or minus. So we should be fully in the Aquarian, right? Some people say the calculation is up. Some people say down. But we're in that era. Maybe we didn't see it, all of it yet, but depending on where the sun, moon, and stars is making knowledge born, you can calculate it yourself. That's an actual fact. We'll keep this going. Peace.